Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out on this not so perfect night, but I promise we're gonna have some fun tonight. My name is Jackie Lou Rea. I am the Director of Corporate Outreach and Training at Fairleigh Dickinson University. And it is such a pleasure, and I need to just shout out to Alex and Judy, and of course Provident Bank, for giving FDU, myself, and my co-facilitator, Taryn Abrahams, to come and be with you tonight to talk about something that's a little important. We were kind of talking a little bit as we were having our little refreshments. This is going to be, you guys, a wide open, interactive, we're gonna chat, we're gonna have a nice conversation tonight. Good? If you don't talk to me, I'm gonna talk to you. Okay, fair enough? I have given you heads up. Effective communication. Now, remember, we're talking, right? So if you don't talk to me, I'm gonna talk to you, you can talk back, right? What do we think that is? What does it mean to us, to you individually, to effectively communicate?
To get your point across and to be understood, and then to understand what other people are saying to you and being able to decipher what's actually being said.
Nice, I like that. Anybody want to add on to that? I agree with all of it. Effective communication. Come on, Karen, you're thinking hard over there. What do you what's going through your mind?
30-mile commute that
I would have picked you up.
I think it's motivating people to either understand you, want to know more, or perhaps to action.
Ah, nice. Nice layering on. Okay, what else? Yes.
Knowing which way to communicate. So is it by email, is it by text, is it by phone call, depending on what it is.
Nice. Okay. Okay, you guys, that's our third layer. I love it. Who's got four? Who's got four? Yes.
Being able to read people well. Sometimes communication is not well read. So especially like social media, like people don't understand if it's humor or if it is, what am I trying to say here? I'm not communicating well right now.
Yes, but we're reading. You're saying you can't read affect on the screen.
Yeah, so communication
So you don't-
sometimes has like a way of falling short
Yeah.
when it's not always face to face.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Absolutely. What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just elaborating. I was saying how that's what I say a lot about with texting, that there's no. Where did I just use? Expression.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's no expression. So again, you don't know whether they're being. I say that all the time. Yep. You know.
Who's gotten themselves into trouble with a today? Right? And it's not even so much that I got myself into trouble, but I got learnt by my 25-year-old. It's not that I did something wrong in my eyes, but something that I did, which was put a period at the end of my nice, had a completely different meaning. And he said, "What did I do now?" I'm like, why are you so guilty, right? But these are just the kinds of things like, oh my gosh, I said nice, like it was good. He's like, no, Mom, you just yelled at me.
Exclamation point. Enough said.
Not even, I didn't even capital, it was just nice, period. The period at the end is bad. He says, now I use the ... a lot. He's like, that's cool. That's good, but the one dot, Mom, don't do it. Huh, okay. Learn something new every day.
Similar to what happened to me, it was an email going back and forth, and I asked a question, and the answer was no, period, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why? I'm just asking a question, that's it. Like, why so direct with the no? Because that's what he probably read, nice. I read no.
Did anyone know that one period is a bad thing? Anybody know that?
Definitely.
It depends who's reading it, because like,
That's right.
if I asked a question and someone just said no, period, I don't know that I would be bothered they answered the question, unless you were asking for an elaboration, and then it was like no, and they didn't elaborate, then you'd be like, okay, well, why didn't they elaborate, you know? So I guess it depends on who's receiving the message,
Yeah.
as to whether they take it in a negative way or not.
Or what age group?
Yeah.
Or what age group, or what kind of mood the receiver is in, right? You just hurt my feelings. I didn't mean to, it's just a no. Just what I meant was no. Okay, all right, as I wipe my tears. Okay. What do we do when we don't know something and we want to find it out? What do? We ask. Oh, that's old school. I love that. All right, we ask. Who do you ask?
Alexa.
You had to go there, right? But of course we ask, or we ask, who's the other one we ask? Google or Siri, right? Our three best friends at this point, right? I Google. I am not a talker into the phone thing because everybody hears, and I do believe everybody hears, so I am a searcher on my phone, on my laptop. So I Googled what the definition of communication is, okay? So, and by the way, this is compliments of communicationtheory.org. So, and I'm just gonna read this verbatim, even though that's something I don't like to do, but I really wanna take this apart a little bit because I think that even communicationtheory.org is not right on point, okay? All right. Communication is giving, receiving, or exchanging ideas, information, signals, or messages through appropriate media, enabling individuals or groups to persuade, to seek information, to give information, or to express emotions. I think we covered all of that, and then some. What do you think bothers me about this? What doesn't it include?
People.
Elaborate, please.
Well, you can just ask someone for information. You don't have to go on media to look it up.
Aha. Would that have bothered you if I didn't pause and say appropriate media? Would that have sat kind of weird with you as well? Because when you think of media, you think it's a machine, a
Online.
computer, it's Siri, it's Alexa, right? Anybody else agree with that? Mm-hmm. Judy, was that you saying mm-hmm? Benita. Benita, you can look the other way, but I see you. So what do you think about it? What do you think about this definition?
I think it's a good definition, honestly, but I'll agree. I don't see anything about people in there or communicating like just with others. So I think it's missing that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Point to point.
Point to point?
Uh-huh.
What do you mean by that?
Well, person to person,
Okay.
right? Because you've got the person who's communicating it versus the receiver. And don't forget the noise in the middle, which I think is what's missing. Because noise causes that whole message to get, sorry, it's my theory of it, which is noise can be probably the thing that disrupts everything that's up there.
Uh-huh. Do you mean actual noise or do you mean a distraction?
To your earlier example with nice, you didn't think it was a bad thing, but it was noisy to the recipient who saw it because of the way they interpreted it. So, right? And it was the method in which it got to them, and that's where the misinformation and everything else can happen. Noise can really cause that point-to-point understanding to go awry.
Good. I like that. Anybody else? About this thing? No? Okay. This is what we're talking about, right? The body language. You say, so, like, if I were, you can't see that on a text. You can't see that over the phone. You can't see that I'm rolling my eyes or I'm really excited or whatever, and that is a huge part of the context of the whole conversation, right? So I think this is what is missing from the formal definition before. Because, all right, let's talk about body language for a sec. Most recently, can anybody share? Erica, you're smiling. Why are you smiling?
I'm infamous for
Rolling your eyes?
no. Facial expressions. They always say it doesn't matter. I could be quiet, but my facial expression says it all.
So no poker for you, right?
Not
Yeah,
at all.
I get that.
express
Thing.
everything how I feel.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a beautiful thing, but you just have to be careful, right? My sister would say to me, "What are you thinking about?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Your face, you're smiling, you're doing something, what do you?" So I love that, so keep doing it. Just be careful where you do it, right? What else? Anybody get themselves into trouble with some body language that wasn't quite appropriate recently? Or not so recently?
I think just reinforcing with the teenage young lady sitting with your shoulders slumped down in the bottom of your chair when you're supposed to be engaged in a classroom setting with your teacher sends the wrong signal. And trying to work with her to understand that that's a very important thing. And while it's not what she's thinking she's doing, it's what the message she's sending to the teacher. I don't want to be here. So you have to work on being present and make sure your body speaks to that.
And what does that usually mean? In most cases, it's eye contact, right? It's the nodding of the head, like Taryn is doing. So being able to read, right now, I'm reading all of you, right? Once I see you either start doodling or you roll your eyes or you yawn, that's a good indicator that something's awry there, right? Okay, so body language, I think, is something that is so sorely missing in our lives today, okay? And so that's why, and it costs a lot of money to do it the way I do it, but there is nothing like a face-to-face meetings. Alex and Judy will tell you, can I come visit? Please let me come visit. It's great to be on the phone, but can I come visit? Because you're trying to build a relationship with someone, right? How do you do that effectively via a machine or a phone? There is nothing like spending quality time in front of someone. Yeah, we saw each other at a networking event. 250 people, boy, I saw him, did I beeline over? Like, hey, right? So if I didn't do that, we probably wouldn't have been here today. Face-to-face communication is critical so you can really get to know someone. All right, skills of speaking. Who thinks is a really good speaker?
Who thinks they are?
Who thinks you are a good speaker? Yeah?
Yeah.
So you can speak in front of groups, big
Yes.
groups, little groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who thinks they're not a good speaker? Yeah? Why? Well, you said something already during our very short time together, Jen. Why do you think that you're not a good speaker?
Because I stumble. I stumble a lot about this.
Like that. But are you nervous right now? A little bit. You are terribly nervous, see? All right, how about you? You said that you're not a good speaker. Why do you?
Like in a group setting like this, like I'm shy, and so like interjecting like makes me feel uncomfortable. But if I'm face to face with a friend, then it's different.
You're cool.
So,
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Who else is not a good speaker?
I think I try to find more of the appropriate words and try, because I'm starting to think of trying not to say slang words and, not as, like if I have to talk to the parents in the troops,
So is that different than when you speak to the actual scouts, the Girl Scouts?
Yeah.
It is. So that's tough because I'm certain when drop off and pick up, you see the parents, you see the girls, and sometimes you talk to all of them together, right?
Yeah.
So if we're wearing, we talked a little bit before about changing hats, and so now you're the troop leader, but now you're like another parent that you're
Right.
trying to relate. So yeah, I get that. You think sometimes maybe you overthink, right? Yeah. To me, I was just sharing before that I have spoken in groups of one, myself, as well as groups of 2,000 people. And everyone says, oh, how do you do that? How do you get in front of a group of people and just like be so calm? I'm like, it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. Yeah, I've met with CEOs. I've met with COOs. And I could get myself all riled up and all nervous and like, oh my gosh, he's the COO. But it's a conversation, right? Do I seem nervous when I talk to you, Alex?
No.
Because we have lots of conversation, and I've had a lot of time with him, so I know, got to know him a lot better. But so what else do you think makes us not good at speaking?
Volume.
What about volume?
When you need to, not raise your voice, but raise your volume so that everyone can hear you, or if you're talking like this and then nobody really hears you.
How many people have ever had a conversation with an individual and just said to themselves, where is your volume button? Just where is your volume? Either they're too loud, they're too, it's like there are people who are trying to listen to you, you need to speak louder, right? Okay, so that all goes into skills, but a lot of times it's a comfort level, right? So you practice and you realize it's really not that bad. They're not gonna laugh at me if I don't use the exact right word. There are a lot of situations where I get myself nervous is if I get into a meeting late and I don't know questions that were asked before I arrived and then I have a really pressing question, I'm afraid to ask it. It's not that I'm afraid to speak, I'm afraid to ask it for fear of being embarrassed. But it's just a conversation, you guys, right? And you guys are the leaders. So the parents are looking at you, Diane, as she knows everything. She is the boss, right? So if you get yourself into that mindset, I don't know, you're the boss, right?
I think we all get in our heads. I mean, I think that it's a normal human thing, perhaps maybe more for women than men. I don't know. I think sometimes we just kind of get in our own ways and fake it to make it because we're all nervous. We're all nervous. Yeah. I mean, we all have insecurities and we all want to be accepted and we all want to feel connected and
feel smart.
And I think sometimes we have to turn off that inner tape that we have in our heads that doubts us, that questions what we're doing. Sometimes you have to ignore that. Great leaders ignore that.
Right.
Because we all have it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
How about skills of writing? Who's gotten themselves into trouble with that as of recently? Both in text or email or written language, anybody? And this could be just something to my dean, right?
I'm a much better public speaker and I can speak to how many ever people there are, but when I'm writing something and it's important, I go back and I'm looking at it and then I think to myself, I'm like, I will send it, I'll send it out, and then I'm like, that's because I should have said it the other way. And I'm also bilingual, so I think I always say, I'm like, that's because in Spanish, that word comes before this word, and I wrote it as if I was writing it in Spanish.
But that's a very cool thing. That's a great excuse, I think, because I'm bilingual. I like that. I have written so many emails that, of course, of such unbelievable importance that I literally can read an email 20 times. And then I send it, and then the next day I go back to it and I reread it again, and I find an error. I could just kick myself, but nobody noticed. And I particularly do that, it seems, with the autocorrect. Sometimes it doesn't like how I spell things. Or it changes, I swear, it changes as you hit send. It changes the spelling. But let's not get caught up in the minutia, right? So we do our best, we write our best, we flip words, the message still gets out, right? Okay. So, we touched on this a little bit. When you text or even an email, who uses the abbreviations that is so en vogue right now? Who does? Show of hands. Who uses abbreviations? Do you consider yourself fluent in abbreviations? Pretty good. Yeah, you are?
I have to resist not doing that in an email. Like, I want to use the abbreviations in an email. I know
yeah.
that's
What
a
kind of
no-no.
abbreviations though?
Like deaf.
Deaf, that's, oh my God, I'm so stuck on that one. And I just did it today.
As in
And
definitely?
then I'm like, well, that's probably because I can't spell definitely.
But that's what autocorrect is
Or
for.
AM for the morning,
Yeah.
I would do AM all the time for, oh yeah, in the AM, and I'm like, that's not proper, like, it's
I know,
really
I
in the
know.
morning.
Okay.
I have to look up some of them.
You do, you look them up so you can write, so you can put them in a text?
What they're saying, I Googled it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, because they come up with some stuff. So I have two sons. I have a 25 and a 27-year-old. My 27-year-old has made it his business to never speak in text speak. That is amazing. From he got his first phone. He will not abbreviate. He will not use any of that fancy whatever. My 25-year-old makes up for that. Because it takes me a good triple the amount of time just to decipher what this kid is trying to tell me, all right? So, my gift to you guys today is this. Do you like it? My gift to you compliments, again, communicationtheory.org. What's the matter?
I said I can't read it.
You can't read it?
My glasses are in the car.
You can't read it.
Okay.
Nobody can read it?
It's blurry.
So the left is a list of text messages and SMS abbreviations, and the right is list of internet acronyms.
So,
I see.
Thanks.
okay. All right, test number 1. You're supposed to yell at me for this because I'm not communicating properly with you. Why would someone who wants to give you a gift throw something up there that you can't even read? Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit in your day-to-day lives. Do we give the people who we are trying to get messages to the opportunity to properly read what we're trying to say? Can we think of a situation where we didn't let that happen? This was so rude, and I was so happy when I came up with this. I'm like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be really mean. So, truly, though, my gift to you is on the tables so that you can take these 2 charts home in, I think I did it in 14 font. Okay? So it is there. So why don't you guys, not to read right now, but I'd like for you to take a pile out of the red and a pile out of the blue. Is it possible for me to have made it any more difficult for you to read this black ink on red and blue paper? So, test number 2. I'm not making it very easy for you. I didn't do it intentionally until I did it. And then I thought, oh, this is a good lesson too. Am I making it as easy a lift for you guys to actually receive my gift? Yes, you can read it, but if I put it on something lighter, it would have been easier, right? So the paper that we use, the font size that we use, all these things, the language that we use, just have to make sure that we convey it. Okay, so did anybody notice anything as you distributed these piles? Anybody? Anything? Ladies back there, I see heads nodding. What did we notice back there?
Message on the folder.
What does it say?
If you look at it quickly, it says, please do not touch, but it really says, please no dot touch.
Did anybody, all right, who noticed it? Who noticed it? Okay, all right. So my co-facilitator did the same thing, right? You didn't notice it until I pointed it out. What do we do? So I have to tell you, this sign is something that I saw when I was in college, so a couple of years ago, that the custodial staff put on a sink She was Spanish speaking, no English, but this is what she wrote. Now, that is so ingrained in my memory that every time I think about it, I say, what could you have done to offer lend a helping hand to her? And to have pointed that out, because I got to know her. I mean, she was there every day in our dorm. So in our world, especially here in New Jersey, our community is so diverse. So when you noticed that, what went through your head?
I laughed because I thought it was a great show of communication, how your mind fills in the syntax, like without really reading what it says.
Okay. But then when you realized what it said, then what'd you think?
That was going to be part of the exercise.
You did? Did you? For real?
Yeah.
So you didn't think, boy, she comes from a university and she doesn't know how to write properly. Did that enter your mind at all?
No.
Okay. I have seen errors like that. Even every day you see errors like that. And it could be a number of different things. It could be you're trying to multitask, going in a million different directions. You're going too fast. I made a mistake because what I did was I wrote it once and then threw it in the copier. So we got 15 of these, all with the same typo, right? What do you think if you didn't realize, if I didn't point it out, because this is what I was going to do, you guys. Everybody who came up to me to tell me the error that I made, I was going to put a hashtag. Guess how many hashtags I have? 0. So, our attention to detail. But tell me, if you did notice it, somebody I haven't spoken to, who haven't I spoken to? Who hasn't spoken to me yet? I think you didn't speak to me yet. What do you think would have been the way you would have handled it?
I guess depending on if I thought if I didn't tell you it would be a problem, then I would tell you.
Say that again.
If I thought it was something you needed to know for your effective presentation, then I would have told you.
Okay.
If I noticed it.
How would you have gone about doing that?
I probably would have just spoken to you.
In front of everybody?
No.
To the side? What do you think?
On the side.
Yeah? Thank you. I appreciate it. Because public embarrassment is not good, right? For anybody who's experienced either as an observer or even potentially as a giver, but definitely as a receiver, public embarrassment. It happens every day, right? It's not cool. It's nobody wins in that situation. It really slams your self-esteem, right? So, but anyway, so I do know that I mixed it up, so just so everybody knows, I do know that I made a mistake, but that was my other little experiment. So, I saw this, and I just needed to share it with you. The more elaborate our means of communication, the less we communicate. Agreed? Right? Because and we're guilty of this too. We would all be sitting in the living room, supposedly watching TV, and 2 of us will be on our cell phones, I'll be on my tablet, and we're just not talking. Does that sound familiar to everybody? And that's a shame, right? So there was this rule in my house, when it's dinner time, there will be no electronics, right? When my kids were young. Well, now they're grown up. Doesn't my husband have the hockey game on? He's on his phone. I'm like, what happened to that rule? Talk to me. I want to talk to you. I don't want to listen to the hockey game. I want conversation. But I lost that battle. So yeah, so the more ways we can communicate, it seems like the less we don't, or the more we don't properly. Okay. So this is what we were going to do. And Judy, it's okay. We're just going to stay, right? We were expecting a couple more people, and what we were going to do is give each table a scenario, right? These are a little prickly, but I think that's why we're here, right? To learn how to kind of effectively communicate when things might get a little bit not so comfortable in our worlds, okay? So what I want to do, and we only have 20 minutes, I'm going to throw up the scenario, and I want to talk about, as a group, big group, what is the best way to handle this scenario, and what's the worst way? And let's start with the worst. Good? We cool? Okay. Scenario number 1. My co-leader and I, or all 5 of us, and I are having opposing views regarding troop management. How would you go about coming to decisions? So this is why I said, I'm going to come talk to you. What has your experience been? And share with us, if you could, what would be the worst way to go about getting some kind of
Putting
agreement?
everyone on an email thread, a text thread, whatever it is, or in the middle of a meeting and basically call out that so-and-so had that idea and I had this idea and make it known that that was the wrong idea. But present it in a way that just makes the other person feel bad about the way they feel it should be going.
So again, almost that kind of a public humiliation kind of thing. All right. What's the best way?
Again, I'm going to use myself as an example. It'd probably be calling the person individually and say, we got to work through this. How do we want to come to terms with this? Because if we're going to move forward as a group, we've got to agree on one way or the other. So let's work it out. I mean, so that's it. But it's usually working it out with the person that the conflict exists.
Okay. All right. Because, I mean, how difficult is it to figure out what you're going to have for dinner? Right? It's like a major debate. The Democratic Committee has nothing on us. We're trying to decide, right? I can only imagine what it's like to try to make a decision with 5 leaders. Incredible. But you make it happen because you seem to have a real smooth relationship.
I think the biggest thing is that we're all busy and we recognize at the end of it different approaches. Maybe we're not doing everything that some of us would want to do, and we're not doing everything the other part, because there are different factions, because we were 2 groups that came together. But at the end of the day, the goal being that the girls have the experience and we support them through that is what keeps us meeting and trying to figure out how to make it go forward.
Eye on the mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. Anybody else have any good way, bad way to figure this out? And you could make up names, we won't check, to protect the guilty and the innocent. What do we think? Anybody at this table?
I have 2 co-leaders, and I think we if there's somebody that comes in, and says, "Oh, I think it should be this way," and 2 people think the complete opposite, I think we try to go with majority. Well, I think, so and so, and I really think it should be this way, and then explain why. Don't just say no. Explain why, and then I think the one person kind of backs down a little bit and says, "Okay, yeah, let's fine, let's do it that way. Maybe next time we'll do it, my way."
So majority rules.
Yeah.
What if there were 2 people?
I don't know, because I've only,
So let's take it out of
my dynamic is 3 people, so I feel,
Right.
and we have, disagreed on some things, but I think we do it by majority.
Okay. But here's what I like what you said. You explain the rationale.
Yes.
Right? It's not because I feel like it.
No.
Or because I was a leader first and you're the newbie and I say it goes. So to rationalize decisions between the group that ultimately is the best for the group should be you hope that the light bulb goes off and you're like, woo, okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Yes.
We always say for our troop leaders, when they come for conflicts of any kind, we always say just what you said. You have to focus on the girls. That's your main concern. And once you have that focus correct, you can make other decisions. Because it's not about the leaders. You want to make the girls safe, happy, and you go by Girl Scout policies and procedures. You go from there, it kind of works a little bit easier,
Great.
So the emotion is basically out of it, so you can make a clearer decision.
That's great. Because we are driven by emotion. And listen, you guys are all volunteers. So you talk about emotion, that is the most giving because it takes a whole lot of hours, whole lot of effort, and a whole lot of everything for you to put your heart and soul into running these troops, correct? So yeah, emotion is a big part of it, and you feel like what you feel is the right thing, but then you give each other the opportunity to talk it out and say, okay, this is why I think it's the right thing. This is why I think your idea might not be the ideal. So if you keep that communication open, everybody has an understanding, and sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't, right? The people who their decision was not the one that was put forward. But it's great that the rules and the regulations are so clear, but yeah, is there a rule that says you can't be emotional today? You can't be in a bad mood. So I love that. Any other good ways to handle decisions that might not be unanimous?
You can take a little bit from each person and try to make it into, like, take some, ideas from one person, some good ideas from a second person, just whatever the best,
A little compromise, maybe? Yeah, absolutely.
Listening to one another.
Yes, absolutely. And and you can do that, but if you don't give each other a chance to explain why they think it's the good idea or why they think that's a bad idea, then you can't reach that compromise. And we're all about compromise. And I think it's a great example to set for the girls, right? When adults can come to decisions that are amiable with the focus that it is for the greater good, especially for them, it sets a great example, right? Okay. Any other comments regarding this scenario? Moving right along. Okay. A new Girl Scout has just joined the troop, and her mom works for the same company as a long-standing Girl Scout in the same troop. By the way, I made these up. These are not factual. I just made them up. The new family has posted a cookie sign up in the company break room, a practice that has never occurred before, and has taken all the customers from the long-standing family. Uh-oh. Okay. Who can tell me what the worst way to handle this would be? Yes.
Ripping up the cookie notice.
Are you getting emotional?
Putting yours over it.
Karen, there'll be no emotion here. All right, how do you deal with disruptive girls or parents while fostering respectful conversations in your troop? So tell me, as adults, let's be honest now, when we go to a thing with our girlfriends or people that we know, do we mix it up? Be honest. I don't. I sit with the people. I sit with my crew. We do it personally. We do it professionally. So when I run other workshops where I go into a company and we're going to do these breakout exercises, I was going to do it with you guys because a couple of you sat together. I noticed. I'm like, oh, got to split them up. Mm-hmm. We do this count up, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. All the ones go over there so that you break up these groups. It is like a natural human instinct to stick with your squad, right? But I love the way you handle it, is that you intentionally, you don't just separate them, or I shouldn't use that word. You don't just allow them to go into other groups, but you explain why you want them to go into other groups. And I think that's important for second graders. As young as you can understand it, you need to socialize with other people, because that's what being a good scout, that's what being a good human being is about, right? Love it. Okay, cool? All right.
Do you think it'll actually work? Do you think they'll it'll sink in? Because it hasn't sunk in yet.
So I think that these kinds of things, again, we talked about us as adults. When we do something that's uncomfortable for us and we practice it and we're forced to do it, it gets more and more comfortable. But we never separate from our squads. So continue what you're doing, because we want to be with our friends. Yes, you want everybody to be friends, but is that realistic? But to do the exercises the way you do, and you intentionally split them up with the explanation that this is not about hanging with your friends, this is about making other friends or just doing things with other people, because then, oh my gosh, all this newness, all these great ideas, all this innovation, if they're old enough to understand that word, that we get other people's points of view, and man, we're going to really do a great job on this project. We're going to do the best project, better than theirs.
Do you think they remember that you told them to do that at that age? Because I would think that even in second grade, granted they are like magnets and they want to come together because it's natural where they're comfortable, but just a reminder to them probably doesn't hurt. Because even as they get older, and the cliques are going to become that much more stronger, the reminder of and the lesson you're teaching them, I think, is so valuable.
Yeah.
Because
And I'm reminding the adults
Yeah.
every time I do a presentation, so it never stops.
Yeah.
So constant reminding, but constant reinforcement. This is why we do this. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
I've been reminding them since kindergarten.
Since kindergarten?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're only kindergartners and second graders.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I got to remind adults. Split it up. Split it up.
The middle school will come, and don't worry, it'll all change there too.
And not for the better. We're trying to create a community, right? You can't be a community if you click up.
100%.
Right? Okay. All right. Okay, for the past 3 meetings, one of your high school aged Girl Scout has been quiet and not engaged. She's usually a lively, active participant. How would you manage the situation or broach concern with the parents? And this truly is a scenario that just in my own life, I see things and I hear about things that happen just like this, and it triggers certain thoughts as an adult observing this behavior. What do we do? What do we do with your troops?
I would be working with your co-leader and reaching out to the parent to have a conversation out of concern, but because that's where it's stemming from.
Right.
I have the Drew. If you guys don't have the Drew seminar, I can't remember what's the name of it. The one that's at Drew University every spring.
Oh, Reach.
Oh, it's the best. The best. We went
Better than
last
this
year.
one?
My daughters.
Bring your daughter
That going through that was phenomenal as an experience goes to deal with the scenario, and I feel like it actually is also talking with your daughter or maybe someone else who say what do you think in a confidential and respectful way. But it sounds to me like it needs to be a conversation with the parent, and if you feel like it's that much worse, I guess I'm reading this, but seeing maybe this person or the girl in your troop is going through a lot, reaching out to the school and talking with the guidance counselor about it, because I feel like, that seems like a really terrific resource.
Wait, okay, when I said that you guys are the boss before, I was not kidding. You're the boss. You're the leader. You have that title. No one disrespects you.
Right.
Okay? If you have a problem, and it could be a very bona fide issue that these kids are going through, or when your co-leaders are going through, or that you're going through, but you don't disrespect each other. That's got to be like one of your golden rules, one of your pillars, right? You cannot be a good representative of our troop if you're going to treat me like that. Okay? We agree? In a comfortable way, because I dare say that if she's smart enough to disrespect you, she's smart enough for you to have a conversation with her in a very respectful way.
Okay.
You're hurting my feelings and you're making everybody else uncomfortable. I need for you to stop.
Perfect.
If there's something that you need to talk to about, you can talk to me, or do you want to just talk to your mom? But I can't have that here.
Okay.
And troop, no troop, if my kids' friends come in and disrespect me or my husband, I don't think so, okay? You're setting an example. So if the other girls see that someone can get away with that with a leader, what's the message that you're saying? It's
Right.
okay,
That's right. That's
right?
Absolutely.
Good?
You are the
Not
leader and you're
going to
defending
do
your
this,
troop
yes.
too from that kind of atmosphere or
Yeah.
situation.
You are the protector. As the leader, you are their protector, and you are also their mentor. So they're looking at, so that's where everybody's looking at you. And if you don't respond, they're saying, oh, I guess it's okay to treat her like that.
Jackie, one of the questions we have the leaders ask to the parent is your girl happy in Girl Scouts? 'Cause that opens up a whole pool of questions right there. Oh, why? Oh, well, she's been acting out, and after you did what you just said, we do have a code of conduct too.
Okay.
Because, your troop meeting is an hour and a half. After you do that one-on-one talk, you can do the code of conduct, and you label it. You have first offense, second offense, third offense, and it's just for everybody. Nobody's singled out, it's for the entire troop, so we do have some steps involved.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, cool, okay.
I'm sorry, but can I ask, so would you still talk to the parent? Because just as a,
I would initially say that, yeah, I wouldn't
Okay.
immediately say, oh, you did the first.
No, not the, sounds like she's, I guess I just was
She's not happy in Girl Scouts?
kind of understanding the escalation part. And I do like the way that you suggested it, which was, is she happy with Girl Scouts?
Yeah.
I think both simultaneously,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
depending on the situation. I mean, if you're tight with her mom, I'd say, yeah, I'd be okay talking to her about that. Because there's something that's worrisome, especially if she was a good girl.
A good girl.
Yeah, I think
Last year.
that's
Something's going on. So it's not one or the other. It's like, let's do this. I'm really concerned.
How old is this?
I'm
Or
just
10.
wondering.
I guess she's 9.
Because I'm thinking of that scenario,
Yeah, I
all the
know,
things
I
that
know.
could mean. 'Cause
I know, that's what I think, I keep,
But it's probably real. All those things that go through your mind, it's
do the
They're
Drew
concerned.
thing in the spring. It's so awesome.
Can I be invited to the Drew thing? I gotta see what I'm up against.
See your competition.
Yeah. Okay, last one. You have a Girl Scout who is unable to focus or keep up with the rest of the troop when completing meeting activities, causing delays in getting things done. You've been in contact with their parents to help resolve the issue, but the parent feels there's nothing wrong, feels the issue lies with the leader and other girls in the troop. How would you properly communicate with this parent? I think we just talked about quite a bit. And it seems to me like your troops, you're very friendly. Some are created out of friendships that you decide to start a troop. So what do we think?
I still like, how's your daughter liking Girl Scouts?
Yes, and the Drew seminar, right? Yes, yeah.
Well, I think if the parent is a volunteer and registered and all that, they could be invited to a meeting
That's
or to
what
stay and watch.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Okay.
So they could observe themselves.
Okay. And be party to one of your every 2-week meetings, right? Okay.
Or even come in for the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes, just to kind of see what's going on.
All right, I like that idea. It's a great
Let them
idea.
observe.
See, this is challenging, because like, if the parent has been told that this is what's going on, even if they sit in a meeting, they may not see what you see. They may see it through their eyes. Their child can do no wrong, and so even in that scenario, that may not be effective.
Mm-hmm.
So it really, I guess, is how much the parent is open to listening.
Or if that young lady's behavior is the same
It's
as
the
when
same,
her mom's not in the room. And we talked about that, right? Their behavior changes. But I do like that suggestion is come in, see what this is like, see what's going on, and then you tell me if your kid's not acting out, right? I like that. And then if that doesn't at least bring it to light, because here it is, they're in denial, right? Mom and dad are in denial. Come take a look. And then if the child turns and behaves, tell the mom, keep coming back. Because then you can get through your stuff. Why not? And bring brownies, bring cookies, whatever, right? Good? Okay. Now, I am one of efficiency, and I don't like to recreate wheels. And when something is so good, like stovetop stuffing, like why would you want to do something from scratch when someone has worked so hard to create something, right? So hence, same thing with the next slide. And 10 things that I think if we just keep these things in mind, it will positively affect our communication, right? So don't beat around the bush. Time is limited. Life's short, right? beat around the bush, you kind of water down the issue. If something is hot and pressing, and by the way, that could be good and bad. So celebrate the greatness, address the bad things, and yeah, mediocrity is good too. An average day, let's talk about it. It's okay. I like boring every now and then, okay? Listen actively. So a lot of people are thinking, all right, how am I going to respond? How am I going to respond? Without actually hearing them. So one of the things that I like to do, especially when there's a lot of noise and distractions, repeat what you heard. Okay, and I say exactly that. Okay, this is what I heard you just say, so that you're clear, right? So repeat back. Use your body when you can. I'm not talking about hip checking people, right? Misbehaving moms and dads. I'm talking about, like, I use my arms a lot. I walk around a lot because I think that when I do that, people are a little more relaxed. I know I am because I got to move around. It makes me relax. So use your body. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the policies are, and you have to be careful, of course, these days. But I'm a hugger. I'm a hugger. I do it professionally. I do it. But now I'm asked, is it okay if I give you a hug? That's okay. That's okay because it just creates a bond that. And I'm not saying do it to everybody. I'm saying if your heart tells you want to give somebody a hug or you think somebody needs a hug, I think it's okay to do that, okay? Show respect. You guys have been awesome, by the way. All eyes are like on me. Nobody's on their phone. Nobody's doodling, so thank you. People notice those things when you're disengaged, so just be respectful. Match the message with the medium. So you don't want to put something that is really hot, pressing, urgent, potentially dangerous. You don't want to send that casually in an email. That's a phone call. That's when mom comes to pick them up. That's a conversation, right? So just make sure it matches. And so you know what I'm talking about with that. Make sure the way you're communicating the message is appropriate. Good? Know your audience. It's okay, everybody has bad days, so if even with good friends, they might have gone through something that day that you're unaware and it's put them in a mood. It's okay to say, hey, what's up? You okay? That's important to people because life is crazy like that, so things change. So know who you're talking to, even though you think you know who you're talking to, okay? Text smart. Do not use all caps. That's yelling. Do not put a period at the end of nice.
Yes or no.
You could put 3 periods, but not 1 period, okay? Because again, once that goes, you can't get it back, okay? Make meetings matter more. And I'm certain that you guys, I mean, to think that you go and establish an agenda, because that's what you do, twice a month, every other week, your meetings matter, I'm certain. And I'm certain that you are always asking your scouts, all right, what else can we do? Getting ideas, trying to let them have a piece of how you run your meetings, right? Right? Common practice. And keep it positive. Sometimes not easy, especially when you're dealing with a pressing problem. Try to just spin it a little bit and make it as positive as you can. Just like we talked about, I'm breaking up your clique because we're doing this exercise. This is why we're doing it, because we have to generate new ideas. We have to generate fresh ideas, and we have to be a community. So you're going to go not with your friends, but with the other girls. Okay? That's spinning the positive. And so that is a take home for you. And I love this, and I promise it's my second to last. Speak in such a way that others love to listen to you. Listen in such a way that others love to speak to you. All right? I thought this was so cool. I want to thank everybody for effectively communicating with me today. You guys were awesome. You really were. I hope you enjoyed it. And I thank you again. Thank all the Girl Scouts. Alex, Judy, thanks for having me. Okay?